We got to know the whole story to understand a transit fully. You got to know the whole story. If you don't know the whole story, you're going to miss essential details to extract the context of what's going on. You also have to be brave. You have to be courageous to confront the truth and to admit what you're looking at. Cowards cannot extract spiritual value or meaning. That is a role of a warrior. It's a skill of the fearless. If you're not fearless, that ain't your job. It ain't for you to do. Find somebody who is fearless and get it from them. But if you're not fearless, you can't interpret shit. Not a motherfucking thing. You gotta be fearless to interpret. Understand that. Black Moon Lilith, Scorpio. What's really happening here? I want to bring a theme to mind simply because we're coming upon the 23rd conjunction of Mercury and Black Moon Lilith, which brings that the subconscious shame to the forefront of our mind and our intentions, our thoughts, the urge to communicate it, finally, after hiding and suppressing it. But what is this among many things? What's the most important thing to consider? Enshrined with Cancer Jupiter, enshrined with North Node Pisces. Where the fuck we headed at? Guess what we can't get around? You guessed it, intimacy. You can't get around intimacy. Intimacy is something for brave hearts. That's for brave hearts right there. Takes considerable vulnerability, transparency, courage, self-esteem, an infrastructure of security within the self to step into that 8th house and be vulnerable with someone else while giving them power to cause you harm. Laying it on the line of trust. Opening a contract of trust with somebody. Opening a contract, an oath of secrecy with somebody. Can I trust you with my secrets? Can I trust you not to hurt me, wrong me, or abuse me if I should allow myself to be vulnerable with you? We're coming out of the legacy of worshiping, praising, and condoning the refusal, rejection, and vilification of intimacy. We're coming out of that spell, that generation. We're from the music industry, Hollywood, local conversations, podcasts, so on and so forth. There's a lot of shaming going on concerning people who are willing to be intimate, people who want to be vulnerable enough to be intimate with someone. And this is not to be misunderstood for how willing you are to get sexual with someone, to have sex with somebody. If that's what you summarizes to, I want to encourage you to seek understanding of what intimacy is really about. It's allowing somebody in. It's bringing down your guards. It's trusting yourself enough to trust somebody else. It's being well enough with your own inner child to be so bold. How long have we been lying, pretending like it's not what we all want? How long? As a nation, as a community, as a society? How long? How long have we been allowing influencers, charismatic people, attractive people, musicians, artists, celebrities tell us that intimacy is not what it is? That intimacy, oh, that's how you get hurt. Don't do it. Don't go down there. You're going to get fucked up. No, every time you trust somebody, every time you do this, every time you do that. And it becomes a wave of buying into an atmosphere of shame and guilt against anyone who dares to lift up, honor, uphold, reverence, celebrate the culture or expressions of intimacy. We've already explored the feminist ideals of surface, de facto, fraudulent acts of intimacy. We've explored that. We've explored what the entertainers and celebrities have called us to with each other. And we see that it always ends in injury, abuse, oppression, tyranny, pain, regret, power struggles, disrespect. But look how we enter each other. Look how we enter the 8th house. We've been entering the 8th house without commitment to Cancer, the inner child, the moral compass, matriarchal loyalty to the self, moral commitment. We've entered the 8th house without it. We've also entered the 8th house without accountability, discipline, obedience, structure, self-command, self-determination. Those themes of Pisces and Cancer, specifically Saturn Pisces transit themes of lessons, karmically. We've been entering the 8th house of intimacy without these forces. And we see what happens when we do that. You enter without that lesson, that realization, that recovered memory of Saturn Pisces, and your conscience is full of guilt, shame, desperate to find a place to escape, desperate to find something or someone to distract yourself from what you refuse to work on in yourself. It's a transfer of curses. a transfer of emotional burdens and loads that you refuse to deal with. And conveniently, it's somebody else's responsibility. Since I'm conveniently in the eighth house now with this person, I will transfer it over to them. I will make it their fault. I will accuse them. I will hold that person accountable because I escaped that accountability. I'm a fugitive from myself. I've become such a great escape artist. I can mastermind any type of articulation to make it seem like the nuances of current events in relationships is what caused the fallout, is what caused the distance, is what caused the betrayal, is what caused the dissatisfaction. Not this time. We had to learn those lessons. That Cancer Jupiter. Where are we going in the eighth house? The house of trust. The house of mutual trust. Scorpio. Where are we going without our moral commitment? Where are we going without having a conscience? Where are we going without alignment with the matriarchal law in the self that is the first constitution? To thyself do no harm, and to others do no harm. Good is superior to bad, right is superior to wrong. Always, no matter what. Even when no one's looking. The little things. I am the advocate of my inner child. It's not anyone else's responsibility, it's my responsibility to advocate for my inner child. Where are my boundaries? Where are my principles? Where are my morals? Where's my conscience? Will I betray my inner child to maintain a sense of control over somebody else? Will I neglect my inner child as I pour into somebody else? Feeding for scraps at the ocean bottom of dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and all the other E's? Did I ever figure out that I would never have a relationship superior to the status of the relationship between me and my inner child? Did I figure it out yet? The eighth house is not a place to enter without these preparations, and is being recovered. And what Black Moon Lilith subconsciously is doing is testing our courage, our resilience, and our humility to admit that we forced her out of the heaven of the self. We forced her out of the status with the self because of shame. We allowed society to shame us out of the idea that man is to love woman and woman is to love man. That man is to extract a good feeling from a woman and woman to extract a good feeling from a man. We allowed society to tell us that there's something wrong with it. That there's something wrong with putting your trust in somebody, with loving someone, with being vulnerable. There's something wrong with praising a woman that you admire or a woman praising a man that you admire. There's something wrong with it. Feminism did a job on us, and a lot of you out there, you don't like to admit it. You get mad when it's mentioned. You'll listen to the whole message, and you refuse to hit that like button out of your protest. That don't say nothing about me. It says something about you. The one who don't have the guts to admit these things. We're undoing the damage that feminism did. We're healing it. And it caused problems with intimacy. That commitment to that Cancer Jupiter that's expanding in us, the restoration of our conscience, our moral commitment, the bond that we secured with the inner child, and the refusal to continue self-sabotaging, running into distractions of romantic ideals that we know is self-abuse. Coping mechanisms that we justify the most dysfunctional ideals of relationships with. All of that, we're bringing accountability to it, because that Black Moon Lilith is demanding that we accommodate for her restoration and incorporation into the self. And this means I need you to figure it out how you are going to open intimacy in your life again. Get closer with your brother. Get closer with your sister. Get closer with your neighbor. Get closer. Get closer with your children, your parents, your family, your siblings, your wife, your husband. Get closer. Is what Black Moon Lilith is saying. Get closer. I was shamed into not getting close. Very attractive influences turn the camera on themselves. And when they open their mouth, they start speaking and promoting for the devil. And you love it. You believe every word that Satan is telling you. Looking so pretty and looking so handsome, you don't even question what's coming out of their damn mouth. And right there, you get robbed. You get robbed of what you feel entitled to, what you feel deserving of, what you know should be a part of your life. And they shame you right out of it. Even into dividing your family. This is a culture here in the West that teaches you to cut everybody off. Cut them off, cut them off, cut that off, cut this off, cut her off, cut him off. Everything is cut off, cut off, cut off, cut off, block, delete, cancel. There's no encouragement to learn how to manage relationships. There's no encouragement to learn how to forgive, to learn how to manage and maintain the status of your relationships. And relationships covers all of our relationships, not just our romantic ideals. Do we have that technology? Do we have that consciousness, that strategy, that wisdom, that experience, that understanding to pass around? No, because we don't give it a chance. Everybody's an expert in psychology. Psychology. Studies suggest. In order to pick apart somebody else's mind, only to conclude that I'm right and they're always wrong. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm a psychologist. I do clinical studies. I got a degree in this, I got a degree in that. And because the person speaking happens to be very attractive, you believe it. See, Scorpio deals with the truth, not facts. Listen to that real slow. Scorpio deals with the truth, not facts. The truth. Truth is eternal. It is from heaven. You won't change it. You won't stop it. You won't hide it. Not for long. You're going to deal with it. The advice in our world is geared toward separation. It's geared toward division. It's geared toward narcissism. Fear of this one and fear of that one. Power struggles, domination. Having a foothold over another's forelock. But we didn't learn how to bond and how to maintain bond, how to connect and how to honor connections. But we did learn how to attach and transfer misery, debt, pain, insult, injury, destruction, oppression, shame, guilt, regret, burden, negligence. I could go on and on. There's a lot of things we didn't learn. We should understand at this point that there are certain people we got to learn to stop listening to just because it's entertaining, just because it's comforting, just because the person who's speaking is pretty, just because the person who is speaking is very handsome, just because they're charismatic. Who's saying something that makes the truth rise in the spirit? Where is the company that keeps you in sight of what is authentic? Where's the program that keeps you real and loyal to truth? It won't matter if you don't have courage. It won't matter if you're not bold, if you're not vigilant. It won't matter if you have cowardice. The 8th house is not for the weak. And what Black Moon Lilith expects of us, we cannot allow our weaknesses to champion the mission. Courage. We're learning how to get back to intimacy. We're learning to get back to where we can be vulnerable again with each other and extend trust. And it started with trusting ourselves. It started with learning to be vulnerable with ourselves. That which has been accomplished internally within now must project and reflect itself outward toward the ideals of relationships consistent with the authentic memory that we have recovered. And intimacy, it must be there. The 8th house is where we expand our power. It's where we fortify ourselves. It's where we become one with others. It's where unity is fused. It is the fusion of unity. And without strength, it becomes confusion. Without courage, it becomes confusion. Without trust and transparency, it becomes confusion. Look at what happened to our families, our marriages, relationships here in the West. We have to clean up this mess. All of us. We've got to clean it up. We're not supposed to be afraid of each other, terrified of each other, running away from relationships, running away from intimacy, but yet we run headlong into promiscuous behaviors, fornication. And what results of it is war, hatred, animosity, violence, power struggles, and attempts at pure control. And the desperation even ascends or descends to the point of using children as weapons to win those battles. This eighth house, we've got to address it. How are you with intimacy? Where are you with intimacy? Oh, I've been hurt a lot. I've been hurt a lot. Oh, I've been healing. I've been healing. I'm 42 years old. And personally, I don't know about your community, but black women of my community have been saying for 42 years, I'm healing. I'm healing. I'm on my healing journey. Yeah, I'm healing, girl. I'm healing. I'm healing. I'm healing. I'm healing. That's all I ever fucking heard. But when I grew old enough to exercise good reason and critical thought, you can't help but notice who they choose. You can't help but notice who they prefer as intimate partners. You can't help but notice who they insist on as sexual partners. You can't help but notice there is a pattern. We choose and select our pain. We choose and select the trauma. We choose and select the regret. We choose and select the breakdown of ourselves, the suffering, insisting on that suffering. And you live the rest of your life trying to heal without knowing that you can't heal what you're running away from. You can't heal what you don't have the courage to confront. You can't heal and practice escapism at the same time. You can't heal in the status of a fugitive from yourself. You can't heal without first going to your inner child and reconnecting and establishing the authority and the free flow of that bond, the integrity of that bond. There is no healing until that's done. Turn the music up. More drinks, more party, more distraction, more fun to be had. More clubbing. Hang out with your homegirls who turn your consciousness into a deeper dead state. Practice fake spirituality, crystals, yoga pants, and conversations about space monsters and everything else that is irrelevant to the evolution and growth, development, purging, healing, and alignment of your soul. You're running away and hiding, even in consciousness. You're hiding. Avoiding the real work that you know has requested you. And this is why we can't get to intimacy. Oh, there's bad guys out there. Oh, there's bad girls out there. No shit. You don't have to choose them. You don't have to pick them. You ain't got to select them. And if you do choose them, pick them, select them, guess what? You chose a lesson that your soul required. That's it. You simply chose a lesson that your soul required. Study it. Align. And be wise with what you learned. Our young years, when we are most attractive, vibrant, courageous, creative, resilient, optimistic. Here in the West, it tends to be spent fornicating and promiscuous. And when feminism suggests that this is a good idea for females especially, we have a problem on our hands. Because they're not designed to put themselves in such miserable situations. It is damaging to females to have promiscuous habits. It utterly destroys at the core of a woman to sleep around. But we have let people tell us that it's okay, that it's liberation, it's freedom. No, it's self-entrapment, not freedom. Freedom is not defined without moral commitment and accountability. It cannot be defined without moral commitment and accountability. Ever. What's the route back to intimacy? You trusting yourself again. What's the route back to intimacy? You having self-transparency. What is the route back to intimacy? Aligning yourself with truth. After accepting the truth, but that takes courage. If this is not your practice, if it's not your attitude, your intimacy is very shallow, superficial. It is control, power struggles, and attachments explained away as intimacy. We've got to do this work. Black Moon Lilith and Mercury conjuncting. This suggests that intimacy is a primal urge within the soul. It is intensifying to the point where you can no longer ignore it. You need intimacy, camaraderie, brotherhood, sisterhood, neighborly connection. The security of Cancer now extends from self into your investment with others. The universality of the realization of self as the essence of God and his oneness or her oneness is now realizing your connection with others through Pisces. Where are we going without these things? It's being facilitated in the trine, even the moment that Neptune steps into that trine to activate that trine in a generous way. You want intimacy. I want intimacy. Everybody wants intimacy. We've got to have it. We want to know who's trustworthy, who's honest, who's sincere, who can I trust with my secrets, who can I trust with my most vulnerable positions of myself. You know, the 8th house in Scorpio represents the genitalia, rules over the genitalia. Just like the genitalia, we are very sensitive about our privacy, our vulnerabilities. Would you just walk outside swinging? You know what I mean? Some people walk outside butt, booty ass naked. But most people feel it in their consciousness. That's not what you do. You guard your chastity. So likewise, we all long for a status in relationships that's worth guarding. Ladies, I have to tell you, forgive me, if it seems to be redundant here. When you don't respect your body, when you don't respect your womb, all the sleeping around in sexual revolution and listening to these feminists out here, it takes a long time to recover from that shit if you ever do. I'm telling you that right now. And you walk around here with all these war stories like a beat up battleship, shook and terrified of intimacy. And that can't happen outside of your family members. without sex. It can't. The other side of that intimacy trauma, bad outcomes in business, and with family, it usually evolves with people who we expect to receive a level of emotional security or nurturing behind. And there's a sense of betrayal. We've got to address these things. And we have to also follow back to the decisions that we have made in the past and take accountability. Where did we create the trauma that we passed through that prevents us today from intimacy? You don't want to just be known at the surface. You want to be known at the depth of you. Once you become aware of yourself in the depth, it is incomplete without someone knowing you also in that depth, because that is how we work. We are reflections of Allah. God created you in order to witness all of his thoughts or her thoughts. Every one of you are thoughts of Allah manifest. And that reflects self-knowing back to itself. There's no fulfillment, joy, or happiness in the depth of realization of yourself if there's not someone else to also witness those depths of yourself and help you to celebrate it also, help you to defend it, help you to preserve it, help you to empower it, help you to nurture it. Under a sworn oath of secrecy and trust. Understand that. Stop fronting. This Black Moon Lilith, Scorpio, also has to do with the rejection that we face and the shaming that we face because of what we know. The truth that we know, the truth that has been revealed to us, and how much it intimidates certain people who are not ready to align with truth. How much it scares people to look down into such depths that they're not prepared to descend down into and recover parts of the self. These themes are going to surface that in your family, in a relationship, in business, career, there's truth that you know they were not ready for. And because of it, they vilified you. They made you to be the bad guy or the bad girl. They made you the black sheep. They rejected you because, oh, don't bring that truth over here because it exposes me. It makes me uncomfortable. You're bringing down the morale. It's truth that people are not ready to deal with. And you took ownership of it as being your fault. You blame yourself. You allowed guilt to set in your spirit over the truth that was with you. And they fought you for how they felt about the truth. While the truth is, it was the truth that made them angry, offended, gasping for air, clutching their pearls. And they attack you, the messenger of the truth, instead of finding ways, courage, and resilience to align themselves with what they know good and damn well is the truth. You get punished for it. And this is the time where we have to say, no, I'm not going to be punished for this. You're not going to guilt trip me for what your conscience can't handle. Because if your conscience can't handle the truth, what does that say about the way you live it? It means you're not aligned with the truth. When you align with truth, and when you have the humility to prefer an alignment with the truth, you reject it. You run away. You unsubscribe. You put on your running shoes. And you vilify the person as you go. Oh, I'm out of this relationship. Why? Because you're looking in the mirror? Oh, I got to get from around here and get a different job because y'all niggas ain't on my level. Why? Because it reflects back to you who you really are. You're no longer able to hide and disguise who you are. And everybody's telling you about it. Everybody's showing it to you. You uncomfortable? What happened? Are you all right? You good? What happened? This is where you played part as the truth teller, the truth sayer, the revealer of the truth, the one who takes the truth that they threw in the backyard, they dug under the ground, they hid away, they put in a closet, they pushed back into the recesses of the darkness, and you recovered it. And you said, oh, look, oh, somebody buried this. Who is this yours? And they look at you like you got the nerve, the gall, the audacity to bring that up, to say that, to mention that. And off goes your head. Now you're rejected. Now you're the bad guy. Now you're the villain. Now you're the one who gets punished. Now you're the one who the system gets weaponized against. Now you're the one who gets a character assassinated. Now they put a campaign out on you. Why? Because you had the scariest thing that a person can walk with, and that's a mirror. A damn mirror. You walked around with a mirror and it scared the fuck out of people. And now you over here licking your wounds and suturing up cuts and wounds and pulling out bullets from bullet holes in your body. Because they can't handle it. This is where you have got to learn to accept that we all have a duty and responsibility to the truth, not to people. We have loyalty and allegiance to the truth first. It doesn't mean that you hurt people with the truth. It don't mean that you beat people up. And I might have some hypocrisy as I'm saying, because there's a lot I got to learn in my delivery. There's a lot I got to learn in how to say things properly, say things the right way, make it painless. I got a lot to learn. So I know I'm talking to myself. There's a lot I got to learn with how to say things in the right way. Because we're not supposed to take the truth and hurt people with it while we have the power to make it painless. And we've been learning that through Libra. Understand? So that's my moment of transparency right there. But the truth is superior to all of us. The truth is above and ahead of all of us. Therefore, I submit to what that truth requires and entails. Adjusting and aligning and holding myself accountable. Understand? But we've got to get this right. When that Mercury conjuncts that Black Moon Lilith, hey, I know some truths, and I know it can help if you do it. I got some helpful information. I know that there's a perspective I can share that could really heal and help us to move forward. Because many people think that healing can be done without first aligning with the truth. Many people think that progress can happen in relationships, conflict outcomes, or whatever else, trying to heal things of the past without acknowledging the truth. And it ain't gonna happen. You're not gonna go around that. The things that human beings do to avoid accountability, to avoid a realignment or reconnection with a moral commitment. because that's what truth does. It brings you back to where the accountability should be and where moral commitment should be. And thus, truth shall set you free. That is how truth sets you free. It sets you free because of those two reasons. It realigns you with accountability and moral commitment. That's what truth does. It's opportunity to see where moral commitment is just, to see where accountability is just. And that is the alignment with truth. And when you align with truth, you set yourself free. And that freedom first begins with the clearing of the conscience. Understand? We have this in a collective sense. White supremacy is up right now. Yes, it is. It's the headline, it's the topic. The whole entire globe versus white supremacy. That's what's happening. White Christian nationalism versus the whole entire earth. 6 sextillion tons, a unit followed by 21 ciphers, spinning 1,037 in the third miles per hour, tilted at 22 in the third degrees, 93 million miles away from the sun. And white supremacy has dominated the entire globe. And Khazarians are over top of them. The super monster, Khazarians. And their mentees, the white Christian nationalists. This is the topic. And it's burdening the subconscious, it's burdening the conscience. Of those descriptive members of society who white supremacy is meant for. And this Black Moon Lilith Scorpio is bringing up truth, not facts. So all that Charlie Kirk shit with regurgitation of facts, and you go down some fucking AI search algorithms for data and statistics. No, this ain't that. We talking about truth, not statistics, data, and facts. Truth. Truth is heavier, superior to all of that. This ain't no Charlie Kirk shit. They want to make it about the Charlie Kirk shit because you can argue that. You can go back and forth. But when it comes to the truth, white supremacy is the common enemy of the whole entire globe. And over top of them, Khazarian Zionism. The fraudulent Jews. The whole globe. All of America. All nations of this entire earth. White supremacy is the common enemy. And the fact that it is trying to re-rise itself as it realizes its time is up. The indigenous peoples of the earth and many white people are fighting it. Yeah, I said it. There are many white people who are fighting it too. They see it too. White people see that white Christian nationalism, white supremacy is trying to rear its head. It's coming out bold and blatant. With the current administration that we have, and also with the Khazarians, small hats, who are giving the marching orders, they see it, and they are fighting hard against it because they know it's not right. But there are some, there's a few, who still want to defend it, who still want to justify it. And they spew the shaming. They take facts and try to put it against truth. And that will never win. Truth is something that's lived through. Truth is something that can't no dictionary, no Google search, no statistics or research can dare to refute. It can't challenge it. You can't challenge truth. Slavery was lived. Jim Crow was lived. Christian black codes was lived. After that, in the 1860s, black codes was lived. Propaganda and agendas against black males in this country was lived. The deliberate usage of black females against the black family was lived. Disenfranchisement, evil politics, the lies upon lies upon lies and deception in history books since the Reconstruction era. Genocide upon genocide from nation to nation, sea to shining sea by the same people. Data, statistics, history books that they lied in, and you can't none of that challenge truth that was lived through. It can't challenge truth. The Native Americans who were driven to rocks. Native American communities today are full of trailer trash. Drunk, on drugs, out of shape, obese, unhealthy, angry, beating each other up, living in slums. What happened to them? What happened to Africa? Why is Africa looking the way it looks? It ain't because they don't know how to be civilized. It ain't because they don't know how to develop themselves. Because guess what? They were the first on the earth to ever do it. And they taught Europe how to do it. Europeans, that is. They civilize white males. Who put them in that state, in that condition? This whole entire earth is screaming the same thing, is pointing at the same thing, and they don't want to own what their hands have created. And they want everybody to forget it. They want to shame everybody who brings it up. But how can it be forgotten when you're recreating it all over again? Jim Crow era is being created all over again today. But yet they want people to forget it. Yet they don't want to have the reparations conversation. And you're doing the same thing all over again while defying the Constitution. But people are supposed to forget it. Mercury is going to bring the truth out, not facts, not data and statistics. It's going to bring truth from the gut, truth that was lived, truth that was suffered, truth that passed with trauma and painful transformations. And nothing can stop that, because that's Pluto. Do we understand what's happening here, what time we're in? Do we see? What's ahead on the other side is our access to intimacy. And we have work to do to align with that, because we need intimacy. It's part of empowerment. It's part of the ability to make transformation in the self and in the reality. It's part of fortification of one's sense of security. It is how we become one with others. It is how the depth of wisdom is extracted over and over and over again. And it's how love is rooted and not just received. It's how understanding is constantly illuminated in our life. We have to have intimacy. Now, as it relates to Black Moon Lilith and Scorpio conjunct Mercury, this is a cognitive effort and intention to not hesitate again or pull back from letting it be felt, known, or seen that you're able to see things that people hide, that you're able to see things that people are disguising, not pretending like you don't see that. Scorpio is stealthy, but where you have Scorpio in your natal birth chart, I'll give an example. Locate Scorpio in your natal birth chart and the house that you have Scorpio presiding. In that area of life, across those themes in your world concerning other people, you know when they're trying to hide something in that house theme, in that world, right? For example, if it's a second house, you're aware of when somebody's hiding something financially about themselves, or you're aware of when their self-esteem is not really there, when they don't have the support that they need to feel, empowered, when they're in that vulnerable state. You pick up on it very easily. Third house, you know how to pick up on the inauthenticity or the truth thereof of someone's, intellectual property, or being able to extract the real truth out of what they're saying, even though they think that you don't know what they're really trying to say. You know what I mean? You picking up on where it's coming from, the truth, not the words. The fourth house, you can see through a person's soul. You can see dead into what the person's status is in their soul. They can't hide it. You can see the inner child of every person. Ain't no way to get it. You no matter what front or mask that the person is wearing, you see into that person's soul. You see their inner child. So this is where you make people very uncomfortable because of what you see. You make people feel undressed. You make them feel vulnerable. You make them feel intimidated because they know that you're able to pick up on those things. And they make you feel guilty for it. They charge you for it. They may even come together and get you up out of there, turn against you, run a campaign, a smear campaign against you. Anything to not have to face this awkward feeling like I'm naked standing here, like you can see right through me undressed. And so you have this X-ray vision where you have both Pluto and Scorpio. And it's time for you to own the fact that that's the case and not weaponize it, not use it against someone, but use it through compassion. Use it in order to deliver to the depth what needs to be delivered there, mercifully, compassionately, with empathy and care. You don't help when you make somebody aware of something and underneath they could sense that you're trying to be funny. They can sense that you think that you got one up on them just because you see a vulnerability in them. Well, guess what? There's a vulnerability in you that they can see too from the house that they got Scorpio. So you're even. Never think that you got one up on somebody because somebody got one up on you too. It is betrayal. It is evil. It is divisive. That when someone trusts you to be vulnerable and you run right in there and you insert arrogance or competition or rejection, that hurts. And it could cause somebody to close up and never in their life open up again. So we don't want to have to walk with that karma, because you will pay the price of that. You will not get away with that. You will not. You will pay for that. In doing that to people. Don't do that to nobody. You know what I'm saying? Don't ever do that shit to nobody, yo. That's fucked up. You know what I mean? And so we accepting that part of ourselves. And we're showing people that, yes, I can see, what's going on. I'm aware. But we lead with a compassionate tone. We lead with concern, with curiosity, in order to help, to be a help, to be a support, to deliver it where it's needed. But you have to demonstrate that that's your intention, and you have to learn how to keep a secret. You cannot tell people secrets. You cannot expose people. You cannot embarrass people. You cannot weaponize information that you got about somebody. That is betrayal. It is evil. It is so evil to do that. Don't ever do that. You know what I mean? Fulfill the trust. Be trustworthy. Now, what else can come up here is the fact that there may be some things that you feel jealous about. There may be some things that you have envy in your heart about. There also may be some things where you want revenge or vengeance against somebody, even though you know it's time to let that go, but you can't let it go. You want some get back. You know what I mean? So these type of energies in ourselves can come to the forefront of the mind as realization that a decision needs to be made for your own clarity. And the worst thing that we can do is to deny our shadows, to pretend like they're not there. Guess what? It's human to experience envy. It's human to experience jealousy. It's human to see what somebody has and feel bad because you don't have it. It's even human to feel tempted, to prefer them not to have it just because you don't have it. And every one of you and me is a liar if you dare to say, oh, I never done that. I never understand people who do that. Yes, you do that too, and I've done that too. Everybody has done that because it's a human shadow. How the fuck you walking around with light and you ain't got no shadows? This is where we got to stop being fake and phony. We can't do nothing. We can't move power being fake. We got to be real. Where is the envy in your heart right now? Where do you see that somebody's in a position that you prefer to be in or that you want to be in? Where have you been tempted to transfer negative energy to that person just because that's the case? Where do you need to admit with yourself that there's a sense of jealousy and insecurity that you could lose something that you really value and appreciate? Where have you had power struggles and control issues or domination over other people or circumstances, operations, situations, environments? And you found that you've made a mess for a long time concerning that, and it's time to clean it up. It's time to admit what's underneath the surface that's causing these behaviors. Now it's time to be real about it. Where do you want revenge? Where are you out for revenge? Where do you have vengeance in your heart? Where you can't let go of what pain you experience with somebody, betrayal, envy, rejection, oppression, theft, abuse. Where are you frozen in the past with that? It's time now to look at that and see, is it benefiting you to do that? Is it good for you is it productive? Is it a blockage? Is it in your way? Are you carrying dead weight that you don't need to? We have to address these things. The real work is in these things. I don't have a pleasant channel. I don't have a pleasant astrology environment, okay? I get it. It's very dark. But with me having Pluto at the third house conjunct Saturn, okay, I have dark upon dark. But if you find the courage and humility to internalize these messages, it's guaranteed to transfer to you the opportunity of Pluto and Saturn. Understand that. These are the things that we have to get down to the bottom of and align ourselves with what is most productive, authentic, true, sincere, loving, and consistent with an intention toward unity and intimacy. We have to get deep with each other, not just surface. Look how we all in this world, in this modern world, even Gen Z, the children especially, they're hiding. Everybody's isolated, antisocial. I come from, I'm an 80s baby, born in 83. And growing up, we were not like that. We left the house and we hung out with each other. We played. We were always in each other's faces. We argued. We fought. And it only made our bond stronger. It only made our relationships more intensified. It only made the connection deeper. But somewhere along the line, we lost that capability. We lost those tools. We lost that consciousness. And now one little argument, one little spat, and it's over. One difference of opinion, and it's over. That's not intimacy. Who do you like? Who do you love? Who do you prefer? Who are you entering the seventh house with? We would be delusional to think that there are not trials ahead, tests ahead, burdens ahead, misunderstandings ahead, arguments ahead. Exercises of forgiveness, compassion, and overlooking, empathy, sympathy, selflessness, sacrifice. Yes, all of that goes with it. Otherwise, we're delusional to feel so entitled to a happy ever after with anybody. There is no happy ever after. Relationships is something that you constantly, consistently maintain. You maintain it. It's just like a house. It's just like a car. If you don't maintain it, you ain't gonna have it soon. It's gonna be destroyed. It's going to be all messed up. To understand what this means personally, you want to schedule for a natal birth chart reading or inquiry with me so that I can explain in further details to transfer the understanding. Like, share, subscribe, show your support, and thank you for listening.